This weekend's WCQs really showed us that there's a problem in our format. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so we can all talk about why the cool tunes are getting obliterated. So, cool tune. Yeah. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, but 7 in a top cut of an event. You know, that's, like an 87% turnover in a top cut? That's not really leading to any problematic pieces. Oh, no, that's basically a problem. But what about Sky Striker? Sky Striker shouldn't get to go unscathed either. They just went 18-0. Engage, Engage really needs to get re-limited. This card is actually just one of the most broken cards that has ever existed in the game. And I think it's bullshit that you should be allowed to search your deck and draw. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but potentially upwards to 4 times in a turn. Do you know how unfair and how unbalanced that is, that you get the ability to actually do that? I think that Konami needs to actually, this is the actual arguments right now that we're seeing. Sky Striker had basically a glory run this weekend. And we also cannot discount the fact that the pilot that was behind this deck was motherfucking Ryan Yu. Alright? This man is an absolute Sky Striker expert. And it didn't take a genius to play into this format. If you had a deck that could play decently well into Cool Tune, you could do okay. And that's just exactly what kind of happened here. We got the chance to see, what happens when a duelist has great mastery over the deck, and Sky Striker, the Cool Tune player wants to go first. I feel like every single game they're going to opt to go first because they're like, yes, this is exactly what we want to see. We want to be able to optimally go into our territory and be able just to, get the best openings that they can. Yeah. And then Sky Striker's like, oh, cool, I'll go second, kind of just hide behind this and, just kind of call it a day. And that's obviously what we saw happen. Both of the arguments right now are Cool 2 needs to go because of its interactions and toxic creativity that it obviously brings to the table. But there's also the heavy topic of conversation with just how the rest of the format's going. Because obviously Cool Tune's got to go, and, Sky Striker's got to go because how dare it be the counter pick of the counter pick existing in the room. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't really think that we should be making the argument that this deck is absolutely just the most toxic thing in the world, but I do kind of agree to a certain extent that when we are looking at, the fundamentals, Cool Tune needs to take a step back. Now, something I want to point out on the Oceanic side of things. Oceania was won by the 60-card pile of Ritual, Light and Darkness, Mitsurugi. I think there was some other shit shoved into that pile as well. Now, if we were to take Cool Tune out back and hypothetically blow it up, I do hate to tell you this, but I think the combo hybrid build of this deck is probably going to become a problem. I can't really imagine a world where we are going to be seeing players not wanting to potentially explore the idea of the more broken, piles. It makes sense, right? Pile hybrid decks such as this, I do think exist to exploit the game. And obviously we are kind of building up to a threshold right now where players are going to take a look at all of these different engines and they're going to look to try to explore these and try to break them as much as they can. Because honestly, I would at this point, I would love to sit here and see, okay, what other 60-card hybrid piles are going to come out of the woodwork here? How can we aim to explore and break these decks wide open. And I do kind of agree with you. It's a little bit BS that these decks are getting the chance to do all of this crazy stuff, but that's just, it's current power scaling. So I do think Oceania actually gave us a fair warning as to the next potential challenger that we're going to have to deal with. Now, we shift gears on over to Euros. You know, Kewl was definitely a decently strong deck there, and Branded was also kind of painting the canvas over there as well. But this format showed us that Alistair and friends, yes, you cannot forget the great wizard himself, actually showcased some of the unbridled power that the deck could do over. I mean, it ended up going undefeated in the points playoff, qualifying the player to make top 8. And also, well, he got his invite to Worlds, and then he top 8'd Euros. Like, who thought that Alistair the Invoker would be an anti-meta challenger? And honestly, the fact that the deck actually performed and did very, very well, I think is one of the more surprising feats out of the weekend, honestly. Because I didn't think that I didn't think players would actually recognize Alistair as a pure build by itself, but you know, it actually did well. And also, Mitsurugi performed exceedingly well out of Europe. But also, if you're going into this format, I will give it to Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi kind of has the same game plan that, you know, Sky Striker has. You know, you kind of set up your board breaking cards and you kind of go from there. The only unfortunate thing was, Tim, the winner of the European WCQ, if you watch that finals game 3, you understand how much that player, luck was just on his side. You know, hitting the Theseus out of the extra deck, you know, hitting, you know, the Habagiri off of the, you know, Mill 2 off of the opponent's deck in the exact same game. Like, it was just their day to be crowned the absolute undefeated Chad winner of Euros. So I'm not, that game was completely custom. Like, it was insane to actually watch all of the amounts of craziness that could go potentially wrong for one duelist in one event. And honestly, I'll clap for it, man. Good job. You know, you've really showcased another fine reason as to why Kewl needs to get banned. You know, stacking the deck and manipulating the extra deck. You know, one deck should be allowed to do one or the other. But when you start to mix in these levels of toxicity together, well, shucky darn, you know, it really showcases, you know, the BS that this all comes together. And then, of course, the State of Genesis format was also as bad as any WCQ's other performance. There were 7, and I shit you not, 7 Blitzclick decks in the finals of Genesis. And Genesis is supposed to be a format where there's a little bit more balancing factors, you know, more of a potential payoff, as you would say, with things. But it was pretty crazy just to look at how that was actually kind of structuring itself. Yeah, who would have guessed, right? A deck that can generate massive advantage and blow through resources from the opponent. Yeah, I never would have guessed that we would be just creating so much advantage within that format. I would not be surprised to see a actual very fast ban list for Genesis, because those problems need to get fixed very, very quickly. Because there's so much that was wrong at that point. Like, oh my God. This weekend really painted a lot of bad things wrong, in my opinion, with the existing formats. It really showcased just, like, honestly, the pure disgust that the format has been left in. I'm not saying that, like, you know, this game is freaking absolutely horrible right now, but the reality is, you know, Kewl and Blitzclick, when NA is pushing these horrible, horrible boundaries, and you're seeing the numbers being so skewed so rapidly, I think we absolutely need to see some changes coming very, very quickly, and I think we will see them. So how fast, though, will be a very, very interesting one, to say the least. So what do you guys think about all of this weekend's events? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back another day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.